You know, in a world that's always shifting, some nations just get swept away by the current. But others become the bedrock. So today, we're going to dive into the story of one of those nations, a deep look into the incredibly high-stakes diplomatic game that Egypt has to play every single day just to survive. Just picture it, the Middle East, a sea tossed in a violent storm. And right in the middle of it all, there's Egypt, trying with everything it has to be an anchor, to provide some kind of stability. And look, this isn't just a story about power politics, it's a story of raw survival, of a nation holding on for dear life while the world literally churns all around it. So how does Egypt become that anchor? Well, for one, it's the most populous Arab nation, a true historical heavyweight. But here's the thing, its role is so critical because of what's surrounding it. You've got the chaos in Libya and Sudan, the never-ending Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Every single move Cairo makes is a calculated step, not just to protect itself, but to stop the entire region from spiraling even further.
All right, so to really get what Egypt's doing, you've got to understand what it's trying to protect in the first place. And it all boils down to two things, two absolutely essential lifelines. These are the twin pillars that hold up the entire nation. And these two lifelines, man, they are worlds apart. On the one hand, you have the Suez Canal. It's a man-made wonder, sure, but it's really the country's economic artery, pumping cash and global influence right into its heart. And then there's the Nile. Ancient, absolutely essential, and completely irreplaceable. For Egypt, this isn't about money. This is life itself. Yeah, the Suez Canal is so much more than just a waterway. It's a symbol of power. Think about it, a huge chunk of all global trade, we're talking everything from giant oil tankers to container ships, has to squeeze through this one narrow channel. The fact that Cairo can keep it secure, keep that commercial lifeblood flowing while conflicts are raging right next door, that is a masterclass in strategic control. It gives them huge leverage and props up their entire economy. Okay, so money flowing is one thing. That's huge. But what happens when the water itself, the very thing that keeps over 100 million people alive, what happens when that's at risk? This is where the story shifts from economic strategy to pure existential fear. While that existential fear, it has a name, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. You have to understand, for Egypt, the flow of the Nile is, and I mean this, a non-negotiable red line. Any threat to that water is seen as a direct threat to the nation's survival, which makes this diplomatic fight one of the most serious challenges Cairo has faced in modern times.
So, you've got the lifelines inside, but outside, Egypt is basically defined by its borders. And these aren't just lines on a map, they're more like fire breaks. The entire strategy is just one of constant, vigilant containment, a desperate struggle to keep the chaos out. And if you want a perfect example, just look at the Gaza border. It's one of the most delicate, most tense balancing acts on the entire planet. How Egypt manages that Rafah crossing, it is a constant, exhausting tightrope walk between its own security, its diplomatic role, and the immense human tragedy unfolding just on the other side. So Cairo's juggling three things at once here. First, it has to be the main channel for critical humanitarian aid. Second, it has to lock down its own border to stop militants from getting in. And on top of all that, it uses its unique position to try and mediate, to be the peace broker. It's a thankless job, and the stakes couldn't be higher. And the thing is, the fires aren't only in Gaza. To the west, to the south, chaos is always threatening to spill over from countries in turmoil. The whole game is to build a firewall, right? To stop those flames from jumping the border before they can engulf everything. You look at Libya and Sudan, and the threats just keep coming. You've got extremist fighters crossing these porous borders, a flood of illegal weapons, huge waves of refugees looking for safety, and just this constant humming danger that their instability will become Egypt's instability. Cairo uses every tool it has, from quiet diplomacy to military backing for its allies, just to keep it all at bay. But, you know, it's not just about the neighborhood. When you zoom out to the global stage, Egypt is playing this incredibly smart, complex game of chess, moving its pieces carefully between the world's great powers. And this is really the core of its global strategy, multi-alignment. They absolutely refuse to put all their eggs in one basket, so they keep up their decades-long partnership with the US, while at the same time getting deeper into military and nuclear energy deals with Russia. And then they turn around and welcome Chinese investment with open arms. They play all sides, always for their own advantage. And look, This isn't something they just came up with. This has been their playbook for decades. It's just pure pragmatism. By refusing to be tied down to any single power, Cairo gets the most leverage, pulls in support from all over, and fiercely protects its independence. It makes sure no one can ever really control it.
Okay, so when you pull all these threads together, the lifelines, those fiery borders, this global game of chess, you start to see the bigger picture, right? Egypt's foreign policy isn't just policy. It's an art form. It's the art of survival.
At the end of the day, everything about Egypt's strategy comes down to these constant tensions, these balancing acts we've been talking about. It's that daily push and pull between security and humanitarianism, between staying out and getting involved, between its friends in the West and its partners in the East. And the big one, between economic growth and just plain existential survival.
And that's why you hear people say that Cairo's diplomacy is an art of survival and influence. Because its own stability, its own survival, isn't just for itself. It acts as this fragile but absolutely critical wall, a bulwark holding back the entire region from falling into even deeper chaos. Which, of course, leaves us with one final, kind of haunting question. For decades now, Egypt has somehow managed to master this art of balancing on a knife's edge. But in a world where the storms just seem to get stronger and stronger, you just have to ask, how long can anyone, any nation, walk a tightrope that's stretched that thin?
At Geotectonics, our mission is to uncover these profound tectonic shifts, offering clarity in a world of complexity. If this analysis deepened your understanding, please like this video to support our work, share it with others who seek real insight, and subscribe to Geotectonics to ensure you never miss our next deep dive. We'll continue to explore the crucial geopolitical movements that define our time. Thank you for joining us.